Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka Lames Pun, and after what feels like months of waiting, we finally have the brand new DCU Slate. After announcing the lineup at a private event yesterday, James Gunn's plans are now public, and throughout this video, we're going to be breaking down the whole thing. There's movies to talk about, TV shows, and lots of new projects to dive into. We have a lot to cover, so I'm not even going to ask you to hit the thumbs up button, which you should. And let's get into it. Now, the entire slate will be part of DC's first phase, which will be known as Chapter 1. There may be more announcements that come with this, and I'll try and keep you updated if we get any further drops over the next couple of days. Titled Gods and Monsters, this spells out the kind of direction that the first phase will be, and we have a mixture of both big names and obscure characters. The name Gods and Monsters actually pulls from a DC animated movie released in 2015 that featured Elseworld versions of the Trinity. They were darker versions of the characters, but I think the name has just been picked because it sounds cool rather than actually having a secret meaning behind it. We will, however, have an Elseworld set of films, and this will be set outside of the DCU. The first one to be confirmed as part of this is the Batman 2, which, it's not really a spoiler because we knew that was coming. Now, as always, DC will do films that aren't connected to this main timeline, and we of course have a second Joker coming out as well. I think what James Gunn is probably going to do is that he's going to see what the reception is to this main chapter, whilst also potentially branching off into multiversal stories down the line. This was hinted at by The Rock, who said there may be multiversal stories with Black Adam coming at some point in the future, just don't bank on it. Now, I kind of hope we see Henry Cavill back as Superman in some form or another, as I think it would be a shame to completely waste this guy. Either way, Superman is going to be a big part of the upcoming slate, and the first movie announced is Superman Legacy. This was a movie that Gunn announced a couple of weeks back, as he had to say why he was getting rid of Henry Cavill, so with that came the reasoning behind it.
They're about to announce a new Superman.
The new Superman is Jonah Hill.
The title Superman Legacy actually pulls from a Superman animated episode, and this featured the character being brainwashed to believe that he was the leader of Darkseid's army. I highly doubt we're going to be getting anything along those lines, and Gunn has said it's going to be a story set in the early years of Clark moving to Metropolis and becoming a reporter at the Daily Planet. The title Legacy probably refers to him just building his own legacy that can then usher into other heroes in the new DCU. Now, following the footsteps of Superman, we have Supergirl. Titled Girl of Tomorrow, it's gone woke, it's gone bloody woke. I'm joking, of course. This is, of course, playing on the Whatever Happened in the Man of Tomorrow Superman book, and just generally Superman's a nickname overall. There was also a Woman of Tomorrow run released recently, so it's kind of pulling them all together and presenting us with a new Supergirl story. At the time of making this video, it's unclear whether this will be a continuation of the Supergirl we meet in The Flash, or if it's going to be its own thing. I think as we get into the lineup, you're going to see this isn't a 100% reboot, and that there are carryovers from other things. Unfortunately, the sporadic release of these titles means I've had to jump back and forth between a lot of pages and reports, and if we miss any of the big things like castings, then I'll be sure to update the pinned comments. As of making this video, things are going a bit wild on Twitter, and it's difficult to keep up with what's true and what isn't, so I'm just giving you the facts as I've found them, and yeah, hopefully this is enough to satiate your appetite, if that's even a word. Now, the next title we have is The Brave and the Bold. This is a big title, and it will reportedly be a brand new Batman and Robin story featuring new actors behind it. Robert Pattinson isn't going to be playing the DCU Batman, and instead he's just going to be off in that Elseworld story, so we will be getting a new actor. Brave and the Bold brings a lot with it, and it's been used across a number of Batman projects from comics to cartoons. It's a more light-hearted Batman with its tongue in its cheek, which will probably balance out the darker tone that the Reeves verse has. Recently, Gunn posted that he'd been reading through the seminal Grant Morrison Batman run, and this will likely be based around elements of that. Now, that actually had Dick Grayson being Batman because Bruce had seemingly died during Final Crisis. His son Damian took on the role of Robin, but I'm guessing that they're just going to get rid of that and base it more around the tone and some of the plot points in it. Talia al Ghul was a big part of it, and it also featured a section in which Bruce was seemingly sent insane. We learned that he'd actually created a backup personality called Zur-En-Arrh, which was triggered by his past trauma. The name Zur-En-Arrh actually refers to his father saying they should put Zorro in Arkham, and this happened as they left the theatre. He was killed in front of Bruce, so it wedged itself in his brain. Now, no new slate would be complete without the Trinity, and the Wonder Woman part of it will come in the form of a TV show. This is called Paradise Lost, and the title's based on the Phil Jimenez two-part storyline that sees Diana facing off against Queen Hippolyta. I'm guessing it's going to be heavily based around a civil war on Themyscira that sees Diana wanting them to potentially branch out to the rest of the world, whilst they want to stick to their old ways. The series will be produced by Gal Gadot, and it's going to be interesting to see how things change up with Wonder Woman going to TV instead of being a movie. Wonder Woman is being recast, so I think this producing credit's just a formality, and just to hammer home, the entire Trinity, they're going to be new actors. Gal Gadot, though she's attached to it, she won't be in that role, and therefore I'm guessing that the rest of the Justice League will also be out too, except for maybe Aquaman, but we don't know for definite yet. Now, the next announcement that dropped was Booster Gold. Bear in mind, some of these might not be in release order as lots of different trades got exclusivity, and I'm just compiling these together in the order that I saw them, with them potentially moving about the slate. We also have potential production issues that could pop up, and we've seen how certain Marvel movies have switched release dates, and so on and so on. Anyway, Booster Gold is a time traveler from the 25th century who grew up in Gotham. He stole several superpowered items from a museum display and travelled back in time to make himself a superhero celebrity. Gunn has talked about potentially bringing across actors that he's worked with in the MCU, and I think someone like Chris Pratt would be perfect for this if they don't get him involved in something like the Green Lantern show. Gold is very much a flawed hero that's meant for a greater purpose, and out of everything on the list, I think this is the one that really suits Gunn's style the best. Now, what's probably the most obscure lineup on the entire slate, we have the Creature Commandos project coming very soon. Originally set during World War II, this team of superhumans were created by the government in order to fight the forces of evil. Fitting Gunn's style perfectly once more, I think this will be in the same vein as the Suicide Squad, with the team being a group of misfits that have to fight a major threat. The most recent reboot in the New 52 brought them up to modern day, and it had Frankenstein being their leader as part of a group called Agents of Shade. This is probably too close to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to bring it into the DCU, but it's pretty much going to be a big team-up thing. The lineup has seen werewolves as part of it, Egyptian mummies, mermaids, and so on. It's basically Universal's Dark Universe, which never forget, and it of course also has similarities to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. This team, I think, really fits Gunn's style to a T, and fingers crossed he can make another obscure group a big hit. This is definitely the team that I see the monsters part of the Gods and Monsters referring to, along with another character that we'll talk about in just a bit. Now, going back to this not being a full reboot, we have an Amanda Waller show in development. Waller has appeared in several DCU projects, and Viola Davis is perfect for the role, so I can see why they didn't want to recast. I chalk this up as being similar to J.K. Simmons playing J. Jonah Jameson, and she's someone that you can't really find better than. Unfortunately, I think this could potentially complicate the universe, as we have got carryovers in some sections, and then not others. Now, this could build upon the relationship with her daughter, and it'll no doubt feature Harcourt, which, I'm not that mad about, because if my wife was an actress, she'd be fuming if I wasn't putting her in every movie. My wife, she's going to be furious when she finds out that Gunn's putting his wife in all these films, when I won't even let her do a show on the Clips channel, because she don't deserve it. Now, from what I was able to put together of the breaking announcements, Peacemaker Season 2 wasn't part of it, but I'm pretty sure it's in development. This could kind of branch off from that, and most of these movies won't release until 2025 at the earliest, so they can easily drop it in the interim. Either way, I think they really need to do some reshoots in The Flash if they haven't already, just to explain the Reset Universe, and hope that we get an in-universe reason for this stuff instead of it just being announced on Twitter. You can't just be like, Superman's a new person, you read it on Twitter, because my nana, she doesn't go on Twitter, and she loves comic book movies, and she's going to have no idea what's going on. So don't alienate my nana, Gunn. That's the first rule. Now, following on from this, we also have a Green Lantern show. This is something I describe as being in development hell, and for what feels like a decade now, we've heard that it's being worked on. There's been numerous casting announcements, but nothing's ever really materialized, and hopefully we finally get it. I'm guessing it's going to be based around the Green Lantern Corps, and be like an episodic cop procedural show set out in space. Mandalorian sort of did something similar in Season 1, and every week we could see the Corps travelling to new planets to tackle new villains. Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart will be the people that we're following, so we're getting the best of both worlds, my two favourite Green Lantern characters, and it's going to be, I am quite excited for it. Now, Swamp Thing is also going to be a big project that I'm excited to see get off the ground. It sucks that they had that TV show that they announced was cancelled before they'd even finished it. I think that put off a lot of people from jumping on board. Swamp Thing is a more monstrous character again, and this could even help to usher in more supernatural people like Poison Ivy into the Batman universe and so on. The character is iconic, and hopefully they lean into the Alan Moore run, which I think would be a great way to adapt this. Alan Moore would obviously love it too. We know the guy loves his adaptations, but as of the last couple of years, there has actually been some good ones of them. Now, the last project I could find across the Twitterverse is The Authority. Ooh, we're in for a big one with this. This team-up movie is easily going to be one of the most goriest comic book movies of all time. Created by Warren Ellis at the turn of the millennium, this group was also picked up by Mark Millar and Frank Quitely. They're very much your reverse Justice League, and they're the kind of team that will rip off your head and down your neck. A lot of the work had to be censored back in the day in the aftermath of 9/11, and also just for how over the top everything was in it. They also had to colour panels completely red to censor them, and they've got so many messed up characters. I think this is going to build off the success of The Boys, and out of all the lineup here, this is the one that I'm actually probably looking forward to the most. Now that's all I could muster from the announcements today, and as for my thoughts on it, I'm pretty hyped. I've tempered my expectations, but I'd say hype level is weighing in at an 8 out of 10. The main thing is that I just hope these titles are done the justice they deserve, and that, losing the last 10 years of my life being massively on board with the DC universe, hopefully it's worth that just being scrapped so we get something better. Like I said, I do really like that universe, and I was very sad to see it go, but I am hopeful that, Gunn's going to take it in a good direction when we think, you know what, I didn't agree with it at the time, but I'm glad he did it. That sort of thing. That would be my hope. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Now, some of these I think might be a bit too obscure to really do well, and there are a couple on here I was like, really? I actually got sent some of the announcements privately after the event yesterday, and I was like, Creature Commandos. Okay. I think what Gunn is doing though is that he's leaning into his strengths here, and he's trying to deliver good movies that all feel like they build off each other. I think you definitely see his style in the choices that he's made, and they all kind of fit together nicely, going from your more standard films and shows to the extreme ones. Now, the reason I was really surprised at some of them is because, unlike Marvel, DC own all their characters. So I was really expecting there to be this home run stuff like the Justice League, Batman Returns 2, subtitled Batman Returns, Batman Returns 3, and so on. Those kind of films. Though we have the Trinity, it's interesting that characters like The Flash, Shazam, and Aquaman are missing off here. I did think we might get a Lobo announcement with Jason Momoa, but stuff like that is completely absent. Again, we have the potential that they release new titles throughout the week, and this might not be the full lineup that we get. I also think that it's weird we're going to have about 4 different Batmen in the space of 5 years. We had Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson, Michael Keaton's in The Flash, and whoever this new guy is, which, now I think about it, it should actually be me, It should, make a good Batman. Anyway, I am pretty hyped for this, but I think that we just kind of needed to see something like this that makes it clear he's taking things in a new direction. I don't think there's that many billion-dollar blockbusters here, but they probably just want to get the footing in place first to get a number of critically acclaimed things and then branch out from there. I suppose you don't want to blow your load and bring the entire Justice League across in the first couple of films, but it is interesting to see how they've angled this. The Brave and the Bold Batman is obviously going to appeal to kids, teenagers. It's not going to be as dark as we've been getting in the past, and I think they've wanted to have that to really show, like, look, you can bring your kids to see Batman again, because we haven't really had that for a number of years. Obviously, I like the dark version, but from a studio point of view, I can see why they want these 2 versions going. Anyway, with The Flash, Aquaman, and Shazam all coming out this year, I also think they probably want to see how they do before deciding whether to bring them into this new universe or not. Zachary Levi has had a bit of controversy surrounding him the last couple of days, but I think it'll probably blow over and they'll then go from there. There's also the whole ongoing situation with Ezra Miller and Amber Heard, so who knows how they're going to handle those things. I think this slate feels very James Gunnsy, if that makes sense, and for better or worse, this is the lineup we've got. I do hope we get some multiversal projects down the line that have people like Cavill involved, and maybe even a TV show set in the Nightmare timeline. That's something I personally want. I think it has very little chance of happening, but yeah, I am hopeful we're going to get my dream project one day. Obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the lineup, so make sure you comment below and let me know. We are in a competition right now giving away Wakanda Forever to 3 subscribers on the 15th of February, and all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the video. The winners of the last one are on screen right now, so that's you. Message me on Twitter at Heavy Spoilers, and hopefully I'll see you over there. If you want something else to watch, video linked on screen right now. The Last of Us. We're doing bloody big breakdowns on The Last of Us. Really enjoying it. So yeah, if you're enjoying that show too, definitely head over there right after this. By the way, thanks for sitting through this. I've been Paul. I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.